Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brothers Take podcast. Normally, this is hosted by Chris, but he is away for his birthday. So happy
Hey,
birthday to Chris.
happy birthday, Chris.
I'll be taking this episode. I'm Adam, and I'm joined by my brother, Eric.
Hello.
And I haven't been keeping up really with the Summer Games Fest things. I've missed the main one, which is the one hosted by the Game Awards. Used an episode on that, and so I was away for that. And I haven't seen the Xbox Bethesda one. Surprisingly, actually, I haven't even come across anything to do with it.
Really?
I've seen like there's some discussion of Starfield, so I'm kind of getting the sense that perhaps that's it. Kind of, you know what I mean? Like
I think that was for that one. That was like the big Bethesda announcement.
Yeah.
That was the dropping the mic. Here's a bit of Starfield. No Man's Sky.
Yeah, I'll get around to them eventually. But this last week we had the Capcom Showcase and the Final Fantasy VII 25th anniversary, which I was way more excited to jump into anyway. So I'm glad I got a chance to see them. And Chris, unfortunately, is missing his favorite game discussion, which is. Yeah, unfortunate for him.
He did do a reaction video, so do check that out if you want to see Chris's reaction.
Yes.
He did do a reaction video because, you can't be here to actually talk about his favorite game of all time.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But anyway, so we'll get on with discussing those two. How did you find the format of those two? Like in terms of the length of them compared to, because I found them like quite easy to digest. Like I just kind of.
Yes. Well, the 21st anniversary one was obviously like 10 minutes or something. So it was obviously going to be easy to digest. And the Capcom one was quite, just boop, boop, boop. The segmented it quite nicely.
Yeah, because I think that's why I haven't gotten into the Game Awards Summer Game Fest thingy just yet, because it's just like, I know from the past the length of those videos. Like it's like what, 2 hours?
I don't know if they're 2 hours, but they are lengthy.
They're long.
They're quite long.
It's more just like, do I have the time? So maybe I'll watch it in chunks. But anyway, if you like the discussion, if you like what we're talking about here, please click the like, subscribe, and the notification bell so that you get notified of all future content. That's if you're listening to us on YouTube, of course. And if you're listening on audio podcasts, make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Brothers Take. So let's just get on with this discussion. Okay, so the first one we saw was Capcom.
Yes, Capcom was first in the week. That was Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean the stream was certainly better, quality-wise, than the Final Fantasy one.
Yes,
but when you were watching it, like, cause I think I didn't watch it live. I didn't watch it as it was happening. I kind of just caught up with it. I think Chris actually posted something. He was like, "Wow, that was great." So I'm like, "All right, I'll give it a watch." And then I'm watching it, going, "Where's this WoW?"
What are you talking about, man? All those fighting games being released? That's the wowness. I was thinking.
Did any of those stand out to you? Like anything at the beginning?
No, but I was a bit like, anyone who's a fan of this is pretty good, because it's just one of those moments where it's the gift that keeps on giving. So if you're a big fan of Monster Hunter, it was like, here's loads of Monster Hunter stuff, and then here's like the plans for it. So if you're a big fan, that was awesome. If you love fighting games, it's like, here's a fighting game, and then here's 12,000 more, and you're like, holy shit. So yeah, for me, that wasn't WoW, but I suppose for people who are into those games,
well, Monster Hunter is huge, isn't it? Like,
it's got a huge following. Yeah,
it's kind of a big deal. Has it ever interested you?
The Monster Hunter world I tried out, and for a very short while, and then went, nah, I can't really get into this.
Yeah.
I think it's again one of those things where it's like it's just too big. It's too big. It's too much. There's too much in it. And then there was a lot of that stopping, starting with the dialogue boxes of loads of big long tutorial. And like, no, stop it. Just tell me press square, it's attack. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I think I think it started off on console, didn't it? And then it became like a handheld
thing
kind of series where it was mostly on the Nintendo 3DS. There was lots of different versions of that. So I think Monster Hunter World is kind of like the first major return to console. Or maybe it was never on console. Maybe it was just handheld. I can't really remember. But I think the handheldness of it is what like I was just never really interested in. And then it became its own thing. It's like, you know, when the game starts off with certain intentions and then due to what the public demands and what becomes popular in it, that it kind of shapes the series. We see that with Assassin's Creed and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It really, really changes the format of the game. And I'm just not really into where that went. And even with the presentation of it, this is certainly not like trying to capture a new audience. This is like, like Monster Hunter? Here's more monsters. So I'm sure.
No, it's for the fans, which are in the millions. So like, it did just look like something that was for them. That's one thing I think I liked about Capcom's one. Like they weren't trying to rope in. The presentation didn't feel like they were trying to rope in more people. They were trying to just please the fans of those particular genres.
Yeah, and then I think was it the Street Fighter was after that one.
Street Fighter was after Monster Hunter, yeah.
Yeah. Again, yeah, I just wasn't really interested in me. If you're into Street Fighter.
Well, that was another one where if you're into fighting games, like here's Street Fighter 6.
Well, I am into fighting games, but it's just something about Street Fighter. It's just I don't know.
Yeah,
not like it used to be.
Yeah, well, I wasn't really into it. But then when they announced, it's like, here's Street Fighter 2, here's these other, like, loads of catalog of games that will come to console. I was a bit like, okay, love fighting games.
Was that a subscription thing? I was a little confused about, like, what way they're showcasing that. It was like Street Fighter Arcade or something, or Capcom Arcade.
I don't know if that was subscription. I didn't catch that part if they did say it. But it just looked like... It just looked like something that, like, if you were a huge fan of fight games, it's like, oh my god, it's just like Game Pass, but with arcade games.
To be honest, I was kind of half on my phone during the first, 15 minutes of that whole thing. So
I was on my phone for the whole thing because I was watching it on my phone.
Okay, all right. Now I like to put it up on the TV, you know, especially when you get to something like Resident Evil, which was the kind of the final part of it. And the only bit that like I really care about.
Yes.
We obviously got Resident Evil news earlier, which was it the state of play was where it was announced, wasn't it? The
state of play Resident Evil 4, yeah. Because I remember Chris going, watch the first like 10 minutes because we were both we won't watch state of play. And he's like, no, just watch the first couple of minutes. And it's like, oh, ho, 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 ho.
Yeah. And was anything shown during the Summer Game Fest show for
Resident Evil? No.
So what I liked how obviously they're re-showing Resi 4 here, but it wasn't like, you know, it was the same clip from State of Play, but then they gave us more. They kind of showed us.
They gave us a little bit more,
so it didn't feel like, oh well, I've seen this. That looks incredible.
It's gonna be incredible.
I fucking hope so.
Resident Evil 4. It's Resident Evil 4 with remade.
Yeah, I'm from this one. I'm a little bit more into the voice actor change decision.
Okay.
I think it worked a little bit better this time around than it did in the State of Play one. I think there was more dialogue.
There was more dialogue, and he sounded like he was a little older.
Yeah.
A little bit. But then still having that sort of like, it's only been a few years, so his voice hasn't.
But I think as well,
shocked.
It's the creators talking about it. They're kind of giving you the what they're hoping to get out of Leon this time around. So it's to some degree a little bit of a reimagining, just slightly, just to kind of modernize it a little bit. But yeah, the whole him walking up to the first house, it looks different, but the same.
Yes. Yeah,
Looks
it's
cool.
like that. That's exactly what it looks like, but it doesn't look like that.
Yeah. I'm kind of sad to see. Well, it's weird. Like it's missing the, what would you call it? It's not a piss filter, but Resident Evil 4 had this like really murky, yellowy brown look to it.
Right. This has almost that Resident Evil 8 dark grays
Yeah,
to it.
it's a
Yeah.
bluish kind of. It's colder. It's definitely colder.
Yes.
So I'm not sure. Like I was like, it's weird. This obviously color wise looks so different. Yet it feels the same. There's some. It's I don't know whether it's just because of the design. Like they captured the tone and feel more so than the color temperature, but it feels darker in the sense that he's arrived later.
Yes, it does look like it is like either it's really like winter dark clouds, like it's about to piss rain or something on him, or yeah, the sun is starting to set as he's walking up to the house. Like
yeah, it kind of had the color tone of in Resi 8 when you're walking up towards the dollhouse section, walking through that forest. It has that kind of vibe to it. So yeah, I'll be interested to see whether or not, like, I mean, the castle shots seem to have that kind of more amber tone to it.
Yeah, that actually remind me, that shot. It's like down a corridor and you're seeing the cultists walk out. That kind of reminded me of something like straight out of Dark Souls or something like that in its design.
Yeah, especially with the whole castle thing.
Yeah.
Do you think it'll be?
I think it'll be scarier.
I think it'll be scarier. Just the way they're talking about Ganados.
The redesign of the Ganados don't look so normal.
It's not just a dude.
Yeah, it's not just like your Paddy or something down in the pub coming at you with a pitchfork.
Yeah. And the fact that they said wait till you see them. They're kind of hiding them a little bit. Like they show them a little bit, but they're obviously got something up their sleeve about the Ganados.
I wonder if they're going to do what they wanted to do at Resi 5, and how they're going to do it
the
with
hordes
these guys.
thing.
The horde thing and the tackling you and pinning you down, and
I'd imagine so, because we got a little bit with that from the Lycans in 8.
Yeah.
So they have an element of that already. I definitely think this is going to be scarier, but I think still a bit more approachable than like 2.
What are you talking about? 2 is fine. It's grand, man.
I will actually play 2 now, though. Definitely.
Yeah, because you now have to have a reason, because there will definitely be a greater connection between the two.
Not because of that. Because we get the PS5 free upgrade.
That is true. You do get the PS5 free upgrade.
And of course it's Series X and S as well. So which was it? Resident Evil 2, 3, and 7. They announced that they're getting next gen upgrades. And I've already, well, actually I went to try and upgrade them and I didn't have enough storage, so I went out and bought more storage for the PS5.
Where did you get that? Because I'm gonna need more storage.
Yeah, prepare yourself though. Yeah, no, because it's annoying because you're like, oh, what will I delete? And it's like, well, I don't really want to delete that one because I'm kind of I enjoy it.
I just had to delete Demon Souls off my
because there's
PS5
like,
and it was 9.
Realistically, you might fit maybe 5 major games, and then like a couple of apps or something like that. And it's just it's an absolute pain having to delete and install and delete and install. But the storage, it's easy to actually upgrade. Very expensive. It's cheaper than the Xbox version, but not by much. It's like cheaper by 50 quid or so, 50 or 60 quid.
Okay.
So you're still spending nearly €200 just to get a terabyte. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's a necessary sacrifice to my wallet.
Yeah, but it is nice to see the full, and it's not like the nice thing about it is, with the PS5, it's was it 800 gigabytes or something like that, but you only actually get about 630 usable storage
with the PS5.
PS5, yeah,
something like that. I thought it's not 500.
No. It's definitely over 5. It's I think it's like 823 gigabytes or some weird number like that.
That's
But
weird.
you only actually get about 600.
Because of all the other software shit that would have
Well, it's
been.
the operating system
Yeah.
takes up space, right? So that's the similar to on the Xbox. It's like you get a terabyte, but actually there's only about 800 usable, which still
Right.
that's a nice, an extra 200 gigs over the
Yeah.
PlayStation. But if you get the expansion, right, so more storage, you plug it straight in, and it reformats it, you still get the full terabyte. It's
Yeah.
not like
Oh, so
you're not losing.
it'd be like that kind of PS1 extra hard drive thing. So just you plug it into the back.
Well, there was never a hard drive you plugged into the PS1, but
No, it's not did I say PS1? I meant PS4.
yes.
Yeah, so it's just you're not having to take apart the PS5.
Oh no, you do. You have to. You're not taking it apart as such. It is an internal thing. You don't plug it into the back. It's
Okay.
you take the faceplate off, and there's a little plate that you just unscrew, and there's a slot that you just slot it into. It is really really easy. It's designed to do that. It's a user friendly thing.
Okay.
But you do add an extra terabyte on top of what you have, so that's nice.
So it becomes like 1,623.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's very nice. Because
It is nice. It's expensive, but
yeah,
it's
well, with the games that have been announced with Summer Game Fest, and now with
yeah,
the
100%. Yeah.
Resi 2 upgrade, Resi 7, Resi 3, Resi 4 at some point coming out. Yeah, we're gonna need it. We're gonna need that shit.
Because I was wanting to try out Resident Evil 7, the PS5 upgrade, and it's like, I don't really have the storage for it. So I just went out and said, fuck it, I'll get the storage. I don't really see expandable storage on the PS5 or Xbox. I don't see them going down in price anytime soon. In fact, I think the only time they'll become actually affordable is at the end of the console generation, and it's too late at that point. So I think just if you have the money and you are thinking about it, you might as well. You might as well. But so I managed to install Resident Evil 7 last night, as well as Resident Evil 2, PS5 version. So I'm definitely going to give that a go. Now, and in actually installing the PS5 upgrade was a fucking pain in the neck. Because
they're weird, aren't they?
I had 7 on my machine, right? Because if you have an external hard drive plugged into your PS5, you can install PS4 games to that, so it saves space on your So I already had 7 installed, and I'm like, okay, so how do I upgrade this to the PS5 version? I'm like looking for ages, and I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find it in the store. I couldn't find it in the menu. I'm looking up articles on how to do it, and I'm following those tutorials. And eventually, I come across an article that says, if you got 7 through the PS Plus collection, it's not eligible.
Oh, that's rotten.
Isn't that shit?
That's really rotten.
And what's really shit about it is not so much. I think they should have made that explicitly clear. Like that should be on the store saying only available if you purchase it. But that's really silly to me, because it's like technically you have purchased it because you're subscribing every month.
Yeah.
So that was really really frustrating. And what's even more frustrating is that I actually have 7. It's on my shelf. I have the disc. The only reason I have the digital version installed instead of the disc version is 1, for convenience, and 2, because that disc drive is so noisy. I find it's like
quiets down.
Sometimes, but I do find it like almost louder than like the PS4 ever was when it's like gone full fucking revving.
Yeah.
So I've always been more of a disc player guy, but I found this generation I've been going mostly digital just due to the silence of it, because that disc drive is just ridiculously noisy. So anyway, I had to delete the digital one to install the disc one to get the PS. It's a fucking mess. On the Xbox, you don't have to worry about it. It's smart delivery, it's straight to your machine, so you're fine on that end of it. But God, the PS5 method of upgrading is
horrible.
It's a terrible user experience. I must say.
I actually find it's also really annoying that if, like, let's say Ghost of Tsushima had the PS5 upgrade,
Yeah.
you have to put it on the PS4, so it downloads the PS4 version.
Does it
Then download.
automatically download the PS4 version every time you put in the disc, or do you have to tell it to?
Well, I don't know if I ever deleted the PS4 version.
Yeah, because I didn't
After.
either. I have the two versions on my machine, but when I
Yeah,
was
same.
and it's the same with 7, right? So I put 7 in, and I installed it, and then I upgraded it, right? And then I
Right.
ended up with two versions on my machine, and I think it was just like I did that because it's like either a habit or I assumed that was the method of doing it. But when I put in Resi 2, just down below, right, you have copy the game to your hard drive, and just over to the right it says upgrade to PS5.
Yeah.
So I just click that one. So it only downloads the PS5 version and it doesn't install the PS4 version. So I was like, oh, is that actually the method you're supposed to do? So you don't end up with the. So I didn't end up with the two versions of Resi 2. So I think again, it's not well kind of communicated what's the method of doing it.
Yeah, because with Ghost of Tsushima, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Horizon Forbidden West, with all of them, it was that it automatically downloaded the PS4 version.
Yeah.
And then once I had it, I chose the PS5 version. Like.
Yeah. I that was the way I was doing it as well, but I don't think it's necessary. I think you can actually just go straight to the PS5 version. I'll see if after putting in Resi 2 and actually playing, I didn't get a chance to play. I just installed it. Does it prompt you to install the other version? But I think you can just skip that and just install the PS5 version. Yeah. But it's horribly communicated. But so those are the next gen free upgrades, which I'm always happy to see. I love that shit.
Yeah.
It's instead of, I don't understand why companies can do that and Sony charges you a tenner every time. Like,
yeah.
It's like, I've already bought your machine, bro. Like,
wait, do they? Yeah, but these are free upgrades, though.
Yeah, these are free upgrades.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like if you have the game,
yeah,
you can get them for free. But like, I have Uncharted 4, but I have to pay a tenner just to get the upgrade.
That's really weird.
It is weird, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, those are
the free upgrades.
Free upgrades.
Then there's been a couple announcements then with Resident Evil 8.
There has,
which I would like. Weirdly, the one that excited me the most. So out of the 3 announcements, we have new DLC, which is, what's it called? Something to Rose.
Shadow of Rose, where you play as the daughter, all grown up, who enters the mind of a mega mycete and goes down her path of the evil within.
Doesn't that look more Silent Hill like than Resident Evil?
Yeah,
like there's like a psychological horror to it.
Yes,
I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, no, I think that'd be cool to see, because if she, like, does she not have her abilities because she's in the Mega Mycete, or would she have some like kind of cool little tricks that she can play to sort of distract the enemies or something, or get herself out of there?
Interestingly, like, so the Resident Evil 7 had DLC, the banned footage stuff, as well as End of Zoe and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I never actually played them. I was never necessarily interested to dive into them. I thought that it was nice you get more gameplay, but I just felt 7 was story-wise was complete, and I didn't really feel the need to have to play those. This though, I'm like, this feels like a continuation of the story.
Yes.
So I'm definitely interested in checking out this DLC. And I'm not sure, do you get the other 2 upgrades with this one, or?
I think so. I thought those.
Yeah.
I thought the other 2 were like kind of free upgrades. You can't just download them, or like an update or something like that, or.
Yeah. So then there's the Mercenaries.
The 3 extra characters from Mercenaries play as Chris Redfield, Heisenberg, and Lady D, which looked like but Chris was like, oh, that just looks like Mercenaries. It's fine, like, you know. And then Heisenberg was like, okay, Weird choice, interesting. Lady D looks like a crack, just based on the
I
fact that you're
can
9 foot tall.
Yeah, I can see lots of like videos coming out and streamers having good fun playing as that. Like that, you just want to. That's almost jokish, isn't it? It's not
Mm.
like I would play Mercenaries just to try that. I haven't played Mercenaries at all, and I'm not really interested in Mercenaries. But I'll hop in just to play as Lady Dimitrescu. I think that looks hilarious.
Yeah, that looks great. And I think it's interesting that from just the short little clips we got of Mercenaries, each one of the characters has almost like a different play style. So
Mhm.
Chris is very just standard mercenaries. You shoot and you punch your enemies. Heisenberg looks like he can summon his Frankenstein monsters to
Yeah,
help him.
yeah, like his
Yeah, it's
creations.
weird. Yeah, and then Lady D is slicing people, picking them up, slapping off the ground. It's just like you get to be the Resi boss. Like that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it looks that looks like good fun. But the announcement that really, I just jumped off my seat. Like I was like
Ah,
so
it
excited.
was good. Yeah,
Was the third person mode coming to Resident Evil 8?
yeah.
I just couldn't believe it. I don't know why that's necessarily exciting. Like you kind of get to see Ethan's face then, don't you?
Yeah, you'll finally get to
Yeah,
see
you
Ethan's
get to see
face.
Ethan's
We
face.
all, unless they'll do a thing where the camera only goes so far,
Yeah, yeah.
you can't fully rotate
You
it.
only have to see it's like a side profile.
Yeah, side profile. That's it.
But yeah, experiencing that whole game again in third person, like that's so exciting to me.
Yeah,
Like
that'd be.
like
I was
kind of
very excited by that.
origin, like the traditional style Resident Evil gameplay.
Mm.
I think it'll suit the more action heavy parts of it,
Mm.
and you get more time to explore. I guess you'll see more of your environment as you're exploring around. But yeah, it's hard to know whether that's a free upgrade or if it's only
Okay.
part of the DLC. But
Well, either way, if I would say that if you're getting the DLC, it will come with the DLC.
mm-hmm. Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
So, which was your favorite announcement out of all the
out of
Resident
the
Evil
whole
stuff?
Capcom thing? No, well, it would be the stuff for Resident Evil 8 because I mean the upgrades are upgrades. They're like companies are doing those upgrades with a lot of the games of PS4. Resi 4 was just more of what we saw, but then when you got the Resident Evil 8 and you had the playing as Rose, which was a cool idea, going into some weird demented Silent Hill Matrix looking thing. Lady playing as Lady D was a good crack. And then yeah, I was just like, oh, we'll
Yeah.
get to see Ethan's face.
Same.
That's amazing.
Oddly enough, the third person mode was the most exciting thing to me. With
Yeah.
which makes it sound like all the other announcements weren't great. It's not that. It's just I don't know. That's just it's the perfect game for it too.
Yeah, it catches you off guard because you are a bit like the game's really good, so you don't really need it.
Yeah.
But the announcement is just like, ooh, it's just like adding that extra seasoning to the meal, like you know, so it gives that extra kick.
Well, it's a bit like remember when they announced the first person mode in Grand Theft Auto, where that was like oh cool, right? This is better though. This is like you're taking it from a first person to a third. I always prefer third person games anyway, so this is just really enhancing the game for me, and it's gonna be. Seeing yourself getting surrounded by lichens and stuff like that, I think it's just going to be a lot more fun because you do tend to lose perspective a little bit on, especially when there's hordes. When you're in a first-person game, it always just looks like a wall in front of you, and then if you turn around, there's another wall. You don't get that sense of being surrounded necessarily, but in a third-person setting, you do. You can see them all around your character, and you're like, oh shit, I'm fucked. So yeah, I'm really really looking forward to that. So that was the Capcom Showcase. Pretty boring, let's say first 15 minutes, but then it just ends on an absolute high, and I can't wait to get those. All those Resident Evil announcements were fantastic. And then later on in the week we got the Final Fantasy VII 25th anniversary.
Yes.
Which I was actually almost expecting to be a little bit longer. Not with announcements. I think announcements wise, I think it, we got
good length for them. Yeah.
Of them. But I don't know. I was kind of expecting maybe more of a celebration with like an orchestra or something.
That would have been nice. Yeah.
Rather than all these showcases are starting to look the same, really, aren't they?
The
kind of
PowerPoint
PowerPoint presentation kind of look to it.
Yeah. Kind of losing that flair of it.
Now my stream kept cutting out. It got to a point where I was even checking the live chat on YouTube just to see like is anyone else experiences, and they were the video would cut out, but the dialogue would still keep going.
Yes.
So I definitely missed out on a few things, and I'm gonna have to rewatch, or if they release the videos separately, I'm gonna have to rewatch them. But the announcements were fucking fantastic.
Yeah. So mine wasn't that bad. The video might stop, let's say, and the dialogue would keep going, and then it would catch up again, sort of. But it would only be like for 2 or 3 seconds that the video would stop. So mine wasn't really bad. So I still got the basic gist of everything that they were showing, which was pretty good. Like if you're a big fan of those kind of Fortnite MMO battle royale games, I mean, they got a season 3 of First Soldier.
The First Soldier. Have you played that?
No, any good?
I'm not really into those games.
Yeah.
I think it's fun.
Okay.
If you were into those games. It's a little confusing as to why that this is not the format of game that I think suits Final Fantasy.
That's fair.
I just think it's a weird
thing to do.
It's a weird it's clear they just wanted a Fortnite. And they just put a Final Fantasy skin on it. It does do a few, like it does tie in magic and summons and things like that, so it does bring in other game elements that wouldn't be in something like Fortnite. But yeah, it's odd. I played it a few times. It's impressive how it runs. Like so, it runs quite well on the phone. But it's just not enough for me to keep it on my phone, so I just deleted it. I'm still holding out for. I mean, I got the a while back, which is the Backbone 1, which is how I play games on phone. And the whole reason I wanted the Backbone was for Ever Crisis. Like the minute Ever Crisis. Now I don't know if it's going to be controller supported or not, but if it is, that would be my preferred method of playing it. And we saw more of Ever Crisis.
We did, yeah.
Both cute and amazing.
Yeah, like the roaming around is very kind of cute. It's like updated polygon.
Yeah, it looks like OG Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah,
or like chibi or something.
Yeah, kind of high def polygons.
yeah, high def polygons. Yeah.
And then when it goes into combat, you're like, shit, that's like almost PS4 graphics.
Yeah,
like the quality of
looks
them,
incredible.
it looks amazing.
We still haven't got a date though.
No date, and still no idea of what episode 1 is, because they were showing bits from Final Fantasy VII, but they were also showing bits from Crisis Core. So it's a bit like, okay, well, what's episode 1? And it's intriguing because you can change the costumes of the characters, which I just at first thought to myself, oh, well, that's obviously a little gimmick or something. You unlock outfits to kind of give you replayability for the episode until the next episode comes out. But then it ends on Sephiroth standing in burning Nibelheim and changes between long-haired Sephiroth and short-haired Sephiroth, where it's a bit like, is that supposed to be Kadash? Like, are they like going to start fucking with
I'd imagine. Right, so it's for mobile. So we have we have to kind of set expectations a little bit about, you know, what to expect from a mobile phone. I'd imagine if they're doing different kind of costumes and things like that these are the in-app purchases. So the app is probably going to be free with a certain limitation, and then like the next episode, I guess, if they plan to do it that way, will be you pay for that, and then costumes and unlockables and things like that will all be paid. So I'm a little bit worried about how much of it is going to lean into the whole mobile gaming platform, because it's quite a toxic kind of game mechanic or industry. Like mobile games really are kind of designed to eat your wallet, really.
Yeah,
they're not. This is why they have a bad rap. Like, there's some great games on mobile, but generally speaking, it's like walking in. It's like a virtual casino in your pocket. They're not good. So hopefully it doesn't lean into that stuff, and that they just felt that mobile was the better platform for this game or something. I don't know. So we have to kind of tamper expectations a little bit. I'm also not sure what way obviously the gameplay. What way is that going to go? Is it going to be old school Final Fantasy VII, or is it all new gameplay? Is it just like you tap a button and just watch an animation happen, or what way is it going to actually play out?
I hope it's back to the OG of turn based or time based or something, because I mean tapping might be a bit, unless they did it like, I don't think they would though, unless they did it like Infinity Blade or something.
No, it won't be like that. But it's just
No, I know it won't be like that, but it's just, I think it'd be too awkward trying to play on your phone if you're actually moving around a 3D environment.
Well,
like if they did it like Final Fantasy VII Remake or something, like I think that'd be too awkward on a phone. So I just hope that it would be the more simplistic yet still effective OG Final Fantasy where it's turn based.
I think it will be, yeah. I hope it is turn based. I think you're still going to be using a digital analog stick to run around on, but
oh yeah, but that'd be for the environments, but that's fine. But combat is very awkward when you're doing that.
Yeah, no, I think the combat will be static.
Yeah,
just based on what I've seen there, I think the combat will be static. But I just hope that there's a little bit more of those RPG elements in it, and it isn't just engage, attack, and then just watch it happen. I've played a couple of RTS games on mobile. There's a Warhammer one. Can't remember the name of it now. But you have it's basically the I was hoping for a Dawn of War experience where you just kind of build bases and go to war.
Yeah.
There is that to it, but it's so... If you really just recorded someone playing it, it's the most bland gameplay I've ever experienced. I ended up deleting it because it's literally just press this button and then a fucking animation happens and it's like, oh, isn't that exciting? Now press this button. And then it's like another weird animation. Like the visuals do most of the work, whereas you're just tapping buttons and apparently things are happening. And then when it comes to combat, you press like deploy and then they go down, and all you have to do is just go engage, and then they go off and do the combat, and you just watch it. And I really hope it's not that type of experience, because there's just no. I mean, you're not playing it then. That's not. That's not a game. That's watching a movie that's kind of like a 3D, modeled, and you're just pressing the play button and so on. There's not much engagement there. So I do have fears a little bit about Ever Crisis, but I'm hoping we hear some news about the betas, because that's what they announced was a closed beta.
Closed beta, yeah. I think I'm most intrigued to see how they're doing Advent Children, because it's very clear that Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, before Crisis, Dirge of Cerberus. I mean, even Dirge of Cerberus would be very interesting when they're converting into that style of gameplay and everything.
I think it'll be quicker.
It'll be better. But Advent Children is a movie, so I'm very interested to see what they're doing with Advent Children in the realm of Ever Crisis.
Yeah, it's odd. It's oddly they're oddly quiet about it. Like we seem to like have a little bit more about the other projects they're working on and have a better understanding of them. So that's why I'm a little bit worried about it. But still excited to check it out. Then they announced Crisis Core
Reunion, the remaster of it.
About fucking time. What the hell? Like, how did it take this long to get Crisis Core off the fucking PSP? Which actually you couldn't download. It was never on the PS Store. Yeah, unless you have the UMD of Crisis Core, you're never playing the game. Well, you can get ROMs and you can install it illegally, but officially you could never get Crisis Core. And it took this long to fucking realize that actually people want to play this bloody game. Let's bring it to everything: PS5, PS4, Xbox Series, and Xbox One. The Switch, I think, as well. It's definitely coming to.
Probably.
It's coming to fucking everything now. Looks great. Voice actors are new. New voice actors. Zach sounds way, way more tolerable.
Does he?
Yeah. You clearly have never played Crisis Core.
No, I remember him sounding a bit kind of like that's not what he sounds like. But to me, when he started talking, I was like, oh, they definitely changed his voice actor.
Yes, yeah.
And then I was thinking to myself, why does he sound like Sonic the Hedgehog?
I guess, yeah, I suppose he kind of has that.
To me, he sounded like the Sonic the Hedgehog until it got to like when they were showing clips of him when he has the Buster Sword and he has that little bit more of a gruffier voice. And I'm like, why didn't you keep that gruffy voice for the whole thing? Because that's fine. The Sonic the Hedgehog voice didn't work for me. So, but I'd still want to play because I tried playing on PSP and it was a fucking pain to play. So I would like to play it.
Yeah,
because I found Peace Walker was easier to play on console as well. That was really hard to play.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They having it's the lack of the extra analog stick.
Yeah,
is difficult. I mean, Crisis Core played way better than Peace Walker for sure.
It did, yeah.
But yeah, I felt that Crisis Core on PSP, I never really finished it. The platform itself wasn't the best for it. It was okay. But like it was always plagued, for me at least, it was always plagued with like save file corruptions and things like that. So I always had to start the game again and things.
Oh, geez,
I think that was because I had a dodgy kind of memory stick thing for PSP, but I never really got around to finishing it. But you know, Crisis Core, for the few people who've played it, holds a really
high up.
Yeah, like people love Crisis Core, and Zank is like a favorite character for many. But so when I saw this clip, I'm more into experiencing this Zack than the previous one for sure. Especially the bit where it's like, you know, let your dreams be dreams bit. that little speech he gives every time when he's like, you know, what's it? Embrace your dream and embrace your honor. I don't know. I can't remember what he says. But
if Chris was here, he'd be able to tell you.
Maybe, probably, yeah, most likely. But that sound less cringe from this trailer than it did in the original game to me.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
So I was like, okay, yeah. I was pretty shocked to see it. Because I just thought they were going to abandon that game.
Oh, so I think the massive expansion of Final Fantasy VII Universe is brilliant.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Like we're not in the Fortnite games, but people who are into Fortnite, it's like there's First Soldier. We haven't had the best luck with like mobile games apart from Infinity Blade, but they're like, oh, here's also another mobile game that's like going to be a big giant RPG adventure. And then it's like, oh, for those who liked Crisis Core or those who wanted to like it, here's now Crisis Core on everything.
Crisis Core
remastered.
Was definitely the better. It probably was the best entry in the compilation to Final Fantasy VII all those years ago. Where you had Ever Crisis, not Ever Crisis, before Crisis, Dirge of Cerberus, Crisis Core, Advent Children. I think that was it, isn't it? I don't think there was anything else. Out of all of them, like my personal favorite was Advent Children, but that's not everyone's liking. Have you frozen on me? We just have a freeze frame of your face. Because okay, you're back. I was just staring at it. Was just freeze framed on you just
it was freeze frames on you making that similar face as well.
I think what I was saying was that Advent Children wasn't greatly received, or it was initially, but I think after a while people just weren't into it. So Crisis Core was the kind of, I think, the more well-received one and probably the better project because it was a full-length game, new stuff in it, etc. So I'm glad to see that return. And then we have the mother of all announcements.
Yes.
Which was...
For us, the mother of all announcements.
Well, I think that's why tune in? Really? Other than to see...
That's true.
The other ones, you mightn't expect them, but this, you were at least expecting something to be mentioned. Final Fantasy VII, the part 2 of the remake, which is called Rebirth, which that was, I liked just the title even, regardless of anything else that was shown. I liked just seeing the title because it just kind of reinforced the kind of discussions that I think not only ourselves but everyone was having about remake and why it was called remake. And this it's not remake part 2. It's like, okay, the first part was a remaking, and we're going to get more information as to why they announced it like that, but we obviously had our lengthy discussions onto why that was called remake in our episodes discussing that. And now this is Rebirth, the second part. What did you think?
Amazing.
Those visuals.
I was like, oh my god, those visuals. I actually had a thought, and Chris is most likely right, where it's Cloud walking through this forest, where I was like, oh my god, that forest looks amazing. And you see the mountains, like, oh my god, the mountains are amazing, right? And Sephiroth's walking with Cloud.
Yes.
I had this thought where I was like, ooh, is Sephiroth going to be the Cloud what Joker is to Batman and Arkham Knight? That's what I was thinking when I was watching this. I was like, that's really cool. A really cool thing, because it means he'll always be there, he'll always be present, but you don't have to do anything then with him. You don't have to like fight him at the end. You have to have a big adventure and battle or something, because he's just always every so often there giving his insight. But then Chris said that no, that's actually just them walking up to Nibelheim and Mount Nibel.
Yeah. That's you could see the spiky mountains in the distance and stuff like that.
Yeah, I know, but
Mount
like
Nibel.
a part of me was okay. Well, a part of me was thinking that mainly because most of the world of Gaia, or whatever it's called, the planet, is flat grassland. So I kind of was in my head just going, this is just more detailed terrain. Nibelheim just didn't pop into my head at all. I just thought it was detailed terrain. But yeah, no, you guys are right. Yeah, it's
yeah. And it looks incredible too. Like it
yes.
In the original, yes, it was all very, very flat, and it was cool designs and stuff like that, but it wasn't very extravagant and detailed. This looks insane. The amount of area to what looks like you could explore. Obviously, you're not going to be able to explore it all.
I've seen some comments where like, oh, I hope this is open world. I'm like, no. If this is open world and this is now a second part of what was announced to be a trilogy, this is like 200 gigabytes in size.
That really surprised me. I think it was...
That did surprise me too.
It made sense. I think we initially had that thought of like, well, it would make sense to be a trilogy. It was 3 discs was the original game.
Yeah.
So but then we were trying to figure out like, how could you... I mean, they managed to stretch
fit all of it.
A 7-hour experience into like a 40-hour experience with the first part.
Yeah.
So how are they going to do the next bit? So yes, I don't think it's going to be open world, which I don't think is a problem. Given
it might be like slightly open linear, kind of like the way you might have some areas, kind of like God of War. This is just a big open area to kind of like a playground. But then it'll be mainly just this linear sort of.
I think they'll definitely take cues out of like Final Fantasy 15, which was quite open.
The start of that was very open world, and then once you leave that first continent, then it's very linear.
Because if you take the first Final Fantasy VII, the original game, right? So you exit at Midgar.
Mm-hmm.
And then you are in this like open plain.
Mm-hmm.
You head to Cam, or you head to the Chocobo Farm. That's just one area, right? You can't go over to the next area, or even because you enter Cam, and now you're not in an open world anymore. You're in a town, and that's all you can explore is that town. And then you come out into the open world or overmap, I suppose is what they call it. And head to Chocobo Farm. So again, you're just entering little areas. But if you want to get into the next kind of explorable area, you have to go through a mountain tunnel. You can't go over the mountains or anything like that. And that becomes a smaller area again.
Yeah.
So I imagine this is going to be very very similar to that. Like, as that area where Cam is,
Hmm.
that's open for you to explore.
Yeah.
And then you enter Cam and you enter Chocobo Farm and things like that. I think that's as much as it's good. But that would keep in line with the traditional game anyway.
Yeah. Well, I have a feeling that like because it's a huge world, huge continent, and while Cloud is this now giant running across the land, that would have taken a lot longer for them to get from one place to the
Yeah,
next,
yeah.
right? I would imagine though, like this one's probably going to start in camp. Probably will start with the Nibelheim, like we suggested in our conversation about it. And if they were wanting to go to, maybe they'll have a vehicle or something that'll be like your fast travel. But like when they're wanting to go to another area, let's say like down to the mountains, um, they will they'll say they're going to go there, and then it's going to cut back because it looks like from the trailer as well, Zach is going to have a big part in this story, even though it's set years earlier. So I have a feeling that like if you're going from Cam down towards the mountains, it's going to cut the Zach, and then you're playing as Zach for a bit,
Oh, I see.
and then it's going to come back to them, and then they're at the edge of the swamp with the Midgar Zolom, and then you do that, and you go through the mountain, and then once you're out of the mountain, it will go back to Zach, and that way, then you have your kind of paths, but and they know that they can't do a big giant open world like they can't do a No Man's Skyrim or something on it, like so that would be a good way to sort of make it seem like the world is open, but you don't get to explore because now you're Zack in the streets of Midgar.
Yeah, I actually have. I'm not worried about what their method is because so far every decision they've made, I think, so far has kept true to the Final Fantasy VII experience. And I do think perhaps just slapping a traditional open world would actually lessen the experience to some degree. You know, like it would just be. I think most people would expect open world, but we've seen open world being applied to other game franchises when it's not needed, and it becomes a gimmick, and it's not it doesn't add anything. And I think with this, we almost expected an open world experience, but realistically, what are you going to do in that open world? In the original Final Fantasy VII, it was a means of kind of placing everything and having a sense of direction, but then you had encounters as you were going. But those encounters can be placed elsewhere in this kind of newer experience. So it's not necessary, I don't think, to have an open world. It'd be nice to be able to drive around and explore Gaia, but I don't think it's necessary.
And then if they're having if they bring over the side missions, like you'd have those side missions from like people in Cam. So you'd have the town of Cam, but then you'd have the slightly wilderness surrounding to explore too.
Yep.
Or you go to Chocobo Farm, you'd have the slight wilderness to explore too. So
that's
it would still be very
catching chocobos as
big
a side mission.
They will definitely do that, and it'll be brilliant. But like that's what they'll do is just big open areas.
Yeah.
Much like God of War with the Lake of the Nine and stuff. You know?
Oh yeah,
and I
sure.
think that
yeah.
And I think that would work with the much more story driven, character driven game that Final Fantasy VII is.
Yeah.
And you usually learn more about the world from talking to people rather than picking up a journal and reading it.
I think this one is going to be the better installment of the tree.
Could be, sure. Why is that? Why do you think that one?
Well, I think if you were going to do Final Fantasy VII Remake, you always wanted the first one to take place in Midgard.
Yeah.
And then when you leave it and stuff like that, that's where it ends. With the second part, think about, like, this is the biggest chunk of kind of all the story, really.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, depending on how much they cover and where they end exactly, but you're also going to have the introduction of the newer characters and you know, getting parts of their backstory. Maybe not all of it, because you definitely want to save some stuff to part 3. But part 3 is mostly going to be the main big fights, right? Going against your weapons and going against, well, the big man himself. But
Yeah.
as far as like the characters and story, and obviously getting the background behind Sephiroth himself and all that kind of stuff, it's likely going to be in this part. I think this is going to be the chunkier, the meatier bit. Meteor.
Yes. Yeah, no, there's gonna be. It's a trilogy. Not everything is not going to be in this trilogy. They're not going to fit everything in this trilogy. There's too
there's
much.
Definitely like room for DLC, but then with the integrate DLC, that was extra stuff though. That wasn't necessarily. I mean, there was a bit of stuff from the main game, kind of sprinkled in there a little bit, but it was an extra story. So you never know. They might actually put everything into these. Everything.
Well, yeah. So they might do, but what I mean is just with Rebirth standalone, you're not going to get everything. So they might actually do Yuffie's story as like DLC, and maybe she joins your party in the third one, or like, you know what I mean? Or they might do for this one Vincent's story.
That'd be weird. I mean, because Yuffie like joins almost immediately.
Right, so she might join in this one, but Vincent Valentine might not.
You think so?
Be. So Vince Valentine, I don't know what they're going to do, man. The part 2 is too big to only have weapons Sephiroth and Genova for part 3.
No,
I mean, they might not even do weapons. They might not even do weapons because we don't.
You have to do weapons.
But
you have to do
weapons.
Might
be different, Adam. The plan might be different.
Yeah.
The weapons only come when he summons Meteor. He might not decide to summon Meteor this time. The plan has changed.
No. They'll definitely do Meteor.
Everything.
I mean, it's on the bloody cover. They're gonna have to do Meteor, but it's just when I saw Rebirth, the subtitle, the way it was written, I immediately thought of Third Service. Yeah. So I thought
that is true. That kind of red color tone.
Vincent to me, that's what it looked like. So I just figured we'd get a little bit more of that element into it.
Unless Vincent is only going to be with Zack as still a Turk. God damn it, this fucking trailer. Too many theories.
But to hear that we're getting it, because
then mostly
next winter. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting
really wasn't.
Just we're working on it.
Yeah,
and here's the name.
This is because it's like here's the name, which is more or less slightly easy to do because like Rebirth and stuff like that is common in the lexicon of Final Fantasy VII, if that isn't right. But in the grammar of it, there's Sephiroth walking. Like, you could have easily just demoed that stuff.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's coming out next winter 2023. Ooh. Could be winter 2024, actually. Because winter is November, December, January. So it could actually be January 2024. But either way, still. Oh my God.
I know. I imagine they are referring. Well, actually, it would be interesting to see what Chris thinks. Because every time he seems to say that something is or isn't coming out, he tends to be somewhat correct about it. I think he jinxes it a little bit. You're after freezing on me again. It's just not meant to be. So I think what's her name? Monica.
Yeah, so we just don't ask his opinion. We'll never talk about.
I think Monica's after getting you, buddy.
No, it's because I'm using now Wi-Fi. It's because I'm using Wi-Fi rather than TP link at the moment.
No, well, okay. Well, I think we'll end the discussion there because I imagine we're going to talk way more when Chris returns, and because obviously I'm sure he has things to say about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. But from all these announcements from both the Resident Evil stuff, and that's why I had to get more storage because there's just so much more games coming out this year and next year. So if you enjoyed the discussion, please give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and click that notification bell if you want to follow us. And we have videos every week talking about not just video games. We talk about other things as well, mostly video games though. If you're on, listen to us on podcasts, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Brothers Take. And let us know what you think about these announcements from Capcom and the Final VII 25th anniversary. I have to say I was a little bit surprised and disappointed to not get something else with Advent Children. Like, did we get a 4K UHD version of Advent Children? I can't remember if we did or not. Maybe we did, but it's sad to see Advent Children not get mentioned. But let us know what your favorite announcement was from last week's announcements, and hopefully next week I'll be joined by both Chris and Eric, because it seems as though Eric has been taken by Monica. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you next week.